Johnny Asher is the token Kiwi on this team. How in the world did you fall in with this band of thieves?
Well, we all go back a long way. Pete and I, we first worked together back in the early 80s in Australia, when I moved to Australia, and then Reg came along sort of the late 80s, and we've all been together since then, so 25 plus years we've known each other, and it's just like a marriage, Brian.
And you're starting to get the hang of it.
We've had a bit of practice now, mate, yeah. Yeah, we're getting there, we're getting there.
Matt was pretty special. His feedback was phenomenal. There were some times when he'd have a comment before you could really even see it in the data, and eventually, you know, if the problem got worse, you'd eventually see it. Right. But yeah, and many a times, what his comments, you'd be able to see it exactly in the data, and he'd be spot on, and that would make my job, yeah, like I said, easy. I didn't have to go looking for it. I knew right where to go, what to look for.
It seems like when I would talk to people and ask them what's the genius that's going on with Matt Mladin, and they would of course attribute you and how hard you worked, but B, they would in the same breath talk about the crew, that you had a mastermind in your crew that could support you in what you were doing fully. So you know, starting out with Peter Doyle, he's the crew chief, right?
But I mean, as a total, every crew member has a function within a team that is as important as anybody else's, because you're only as strong as the weakest link in a team. So if you have a weak link, it doesn't matter how good anybody else is. If someone does a bad job, then that's going to let you down. And in racing, it only takes little things to let you down that makes the difference between winning or not finishing. So, you know, the crew, my crew were just a solid bunch of guys that never got never ever got involved in the or caught up in being more important with themselves than knowing that they're there to work on a motorcycle and to make the motorcycle run and keep things going and that sort of thing. So everything that happened inside our team, from the rider all the way through to the crew, we never patted each other on the back or anything like that. We were there to do a job, and then when we left the racetrack and went away and had a bit of time with ourselves, or barbecues or whatever, that's when we had a really good time, you know, or when the race weekend was over, you know what I mean? So at the racetrack, we were always focused on doing a job, and you know, and we just had it was a good solid group, you know, and everybody sort of thought the same, you know, in the same way. It wasn't, there certainly weren't any what we call shirt wearers in our team, you know, guys that turn up to the racetrack just to wear the shirt, you know what I mean? And that night at 9 o'clock you see them in the restaurant in the shirt as well, just so people ask them what they do, you know. That just never happened in our team. We got back to the hotel and got the clothes off as quick as possible and went out incognito as much as possible.
Yeah.
You know, so we kept it all at the racetrack. That's where we did it.
By the end of it, Johnny and Reg are like they were like one mind working on your bike.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, they each had a job and they did that job. You know, they knew what each other were doing, you know what I mean? So we don't find this that special, you know. Some of the questions, what you're asking me here, we don't find it that special because, I mean, this is just what we do. Yeah. You know, so when we hear people talking about it, how well everything went together and all the rest of it, it's like when I've said recently to a few people, they say, oh, you know, it's the way your focus and the way you worked hard towards the racing and the way this sort of stuff. To me, that's just normal. So, You know what I mean? I mean, I signed a contract to race a motorcycle, so that's what you do, you know what I mean? So I find it completely abnormal when I turn up to the racetrack and see all these good time Charlies having dinner with each other and you know, talking to each other, and I find that abnormal. I mean, we're there to beat each other up and to try and win races and all that. So you know, my skew towards what's normal is, you know, very different, I think, to what a lot of other people think. You know, to me, it's just normal to get up and work hard and to get things done, and not have my wife or girlfriend or whatever, you know, under my feet for 3 or 4 hours a day when I'm trying to do my thing at the racetrack and trying to win races. And does your wife turn up to work with you every day and get under your feet and, you know, text message, you know, when you're trying to get ready for a race and, you know, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't happen in any other job. Why does it happen in this job? So to me, what I see out there with everyone else is not normal. Mm-hmm. My wife supporting me in the background and being there for me and allowing me every day to get up and go and do my thing without any interruptions, and Janine taking care of the kids, and because I've got this thing that I have to do because this is what is allowing us to live the way we live. That's just normal to me, you know.
Yeah.
No, it's just the way I look at it, you know. So it's interesting. It's always been interesting to me, you know, to see I've had teammates where their girlfriends or wives have been sitting down going through data on a computer with crew chiefs with them, you know. Oh mate, why don't you use this tyre? You know, I think this tyre's better. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? You know, I'm not lying to you guys.
Yeah,
you can ask. Yeah. You ask Reg. You can ask my crew. I've had teammates where I've had a dust up with them on the racetrack or something happens. I've come in and I've been like, you know, what the hell are you doing? And the wife's attacked me. Not, you know, the wife's going, and I'm like, oh Jesus. This is between me and him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I find that quite strange.
Yeah.
Very strange, you know.